Fair.
All right.
There it goes.
Yep.
All right. Now?
It should be starting. Hold on.
Yeah, it's
live.
live. Yeah,
Is everyone insane?
Yes. It's a mad, mad world. All right, welcome to tonight's Ancapistani Lounge. Sorry about the technical difficulties earlier. I got 2 new guests on tonight. We got, first person that is new. Is Timothy, aka Humane Mind. He showed up in a live chat, but he technically wasn't in a stream call. So, Humane, tell us about yourself.
Well, I am an 8-year veteran of the U.S. Air Force, and while in there, I started, it's mostly due to Ron Paul, I started looking into the libertarian philosophy and started going down that rabbit trail, and eventually ended up at the ANCAP philosophy, anarcho-capitalism. And I was like, okay, this is it. It's the most consistent philosophy, and anytime I ask anybody what's wrong with it, and they're like, oh yeah, I used to be an anarcho-capitalist, and they're like, yeah, back when I was younger and I grew out of it. I'm like, how did you grow out of it? What convinced you? And then they give me some BS answer about something emotional, or, oh, well, it could never work. And I'm like, you say that it could never work. You haven't read anything from Walter Block. You haven't read anything from David Friedman. You haven't read, I mean, like, these people are pretty, you mention things about Murray Rothbard and they don't even know what you're talking about. I'm like, how could you say that you are an anarcho-capitalist and you grew out of it and you don't even know the main thinkers in this movement? But yeah, I mentioned a bunch of people. It's like, oh, have you read this? Have you read this? And they don't even, they're like, oh, no, I never read. I'm like, well, then how can you say you grew out of it? Really, it sounds like you didn't know anything about it and you just thought, oh, anarcho-capitalist, I'll be that to be cool. And I'm like, yeah, shallow people that anyway, not to go off too much on a tangent, but yeah, and so I've been an anarcho-capitalist for 3 years. Big fan of Stefan Monalou, big fan of Tom Woods. I think we're going to be talking about, or there was something in the Discord chat about Tom Woods.
It was maybe Argo would maybe bring it up in live chat or a stream call if he wants to join later.
Yeah.
It's up to him.
Okay.
We got actually 2 more guests. Soy Boy, I think it's your first time on this stream.
Yep.
Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
So, I'm 15. I'm an ANCAP. How did I become an ANCAP? Well, I first was a minarchist. I became a minarchist by this. Yeah. Became a minarchist first by a YouTuber named Scotty M. He watches someone named Tom Woods, and I got introduced, and I watched his podcast, and he mentioned anarcho-capitalism. I was interested. I began reading about it. I still wasn't an ANCAP. I was intrigued with the idea. I began listening to ANCAP YouTubers. The first one was Mr. Dapperton. Then I just started feeling more like an ANCAP. Then I found Esso's channel. I still had, criticisms, but he did the final nail in the coffin, and I became an ANCAP.
Nice.
Yay.
And we got ANCAP Otaku, 3rd new person in here.
Yay.
Would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm mostly a gamer, anime, otaku, nerdy type. However, I have been a anarchist for a long time, maybe even since I was a young boy. But the thing was, I grew up in a conservative Republican family, but being that the public school system is completely worthless, nobody ever taught me what a libertarian was, what anarchism was, outside of what you see in the Hollywood movies with Joker and The Purge and all that stupid shit. And I just went through most of my life not thinking that, okay, I guess I'm a conservative. But then I discovered the YouTuber High Impact Flicks, who is the biggest libertarian YouTube channel out there, and I learned what anarchism and libertarianism was. And then shortly afterwards, I discovered channels like Dapperton and Hoodie Demon that were more ANCAP, and that was what made me realize that I'm more on the anarchist, anarcho-capitalism side, because I definitely don't identify with the frickin' ANCOMs.
I don't.
One, though I was likely one, at least maybe not all my life because that's absurd, but at least a vast majority of my life, because I've always been anti-government ever since I was a little boy. Even when I was a little boy, I always knew that there was just something not quite right about government that always came off as kind of evil to me. Like they say that people can sometimes naturally tell the difference between good and evil even as a kid. And I think that's what happened with me.
Well,
there was something not right with me about government.
Yeah, it's more apparent to you when you're a kid. It's as you get older, you spend so much time, like you said, oh, nobody ever taught you about these things in school. Well, of course, because who runs the schools? The government. Is the government really gonna, if McDonald's ran the school, you wouldn't hear anything about Burger King from McDonald's.
Yep, and
from McDonald's schools, yeah.
The only time these ever got confirmed was when I would watch more fiction, because lots of fiction actually will display government as the rightful evil that it was, and I was kind of thinking to myself, these video games are kind of on to something. At least some of the works of fiction I grew up with were.
Yeah, there's a ton of that archetype in classic literature.
We got Crow in here. Yay.
I have arrived.
Yep. Yeah, you're not too late, so...
Well, now we can start the party.
Yeah, so we could go ahead and get into subject here. First subject is something stupid and lighthearted, and maybe something that'll just make you groan. Ocommio Cortez's Green New Deal.
No, but that's not her Green New Deal. That's the Republicans, or the ones the Republicans snuck onto her website.
Oh.
I watched 2
the Green
videos
New
on
Deal.
that.
What I've seen, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, regulating cow farts. That's really stupid.
Yeah, we'll get rid of them eventually. Oh, and then once we get rid of all the cow farts, then we got to get rid of horses and sheep.
Oh, wait, I know what we can do. Seth MacFarlane predicted this. We'll attach devices to cows' anuses that turns their farts into jokes.
Here's something. New York Times, Ocasio-Cortez team flubs a Green New Deal summary and Republicans pounce.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's screen share this.
So they're claiming the Republicans did it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Just like how they've claimed the Russians hacked the election.
The Russians.
Yeah. Let's say they did hack the election, okay? They stopped the woman who wanted to start war with their country from becoming president.
And
I would say they were kind of justified in protecting their country.
And not to mention that pretty much just shows just how useless the FBI and shit is.
Oh, yeah. I've been advocating for the abolishment of the FBI since that shit with that recent shooting that happened, where the FBI had every ability to stop them, but kids died anyway. That angered me.
Parkland you're talking about?
Yeah, Parkland. I almost accidentally said Sandy Hook, but I stopped because I'm like, wait, no, it's not Sandy Hook. Then Parkland. Yeah, that pissed me off. I'm like, okay, you know what? Fuck the FBI. Abolish them. We have private investigators. The FBI is worthless.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's start this article here. Washington, days after introducing her Green New Deal, a plan to combat climate change that has won the endorsement of several Democratic presidential candidates. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez found the proposal enmeshed in confusion when her staff published a summary that included provisions not endorsed by the candidates. Whoopie. Over the weekend, her staff backed away from the document, saying it was incomplete and had been published by accident after Republicans pounced on the plan, citing a blog post of frequently asked questions. The post included language that called for economic security, quote, for all who are unable or unwilling to work.
Unwilling to work is the more important thing. The unable, okay, sure, we're behind that. Wait, unwilling? They later said that I was talking about retired people. As if when somebody's retired, oh, they're just unwilling to work. No, they're retired. You would just call them retired.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to lay back and be done. They did their job. They're done. They don't want to have to deal with you anymore.
Well, the funny thing is, see, when they're behind the scenes and they're all talking about this in the group and they're going over this document, like, yeah, this is great, we're going to put this, and then they put it out there and they start getting all this backlash and like, then they like, oh, well, the initial reaction is, oh, they're unfairly attacking us, and then as it went on, they just like, oh, well, we need to, oh, nope, this was a mistake, this wasn't us, and they're blaming everybody else.
It was the Russians again.
Oh, okay. Here's something that said. I just looked up to verify. Okay, so the Russian GDP is 1.6 trillion rounded up. The GDP of Texas is 1.6 trillion.
Huh.
So if Russia influenced our elections, how did a country that has a GDP on par with Texas influence our entire country, which was the U.S. GDP?
Only one reason. Government?
Yeah, 19 trillion for the U.S. We for some reason, a country 1/20th our size was able to influence our, I guess maybe not 1/20th, that'd be closer to like 1/10. 1/10 of our GDP was able to influence our entire election. Really? That makes sense to anybody?
That's one very powerful people. That's a very economic group of people there.
Yeah, they know how to stretch those dollars.
Darned Russian bots.
Continuing on, quote, an early draft of a FAQ that was clearly unfinished and doesn't represent the GND resolution got published to the website by mistake. Chakrabarty, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez's chief of staff, wrote on Twitter referring to the plan by its acronym. The plan, written by Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, a freshman Democrat from New York, and Senator Edward J. Markey of Massachusetts, was modeled on Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal and embraced by several presidential candidates, including Senators Kamala Harris, Democrat of California, Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat of New York, and Cory Booker, Democrat of New Jersey. It was also welcomed by Senator Bernie Sanders.
Okay. This is what I want to know. If these candidates approved of a plan and the one that we saw on the website wasn't the real one, why don't they put the real one up on the website? It's like, oh no, this is the one that they actually were approving of. Where's the actual one?
Yeah, come on, get organized, you dumb butts.
So either Kamala Harris and these other Democrats signed off on the garbage one that we saw, or they signed off on a different one that is complete, but for some reason isn't posted to the website. Which one would make more sense? The fact that they have this secret document that these other people that have reviewed and approved, and they just choose not to put it on their website to save face? Or they actually signed off on the one that is unintentionally a joke.
Either way, if you're a Republican and you don't like us, you know who to avoid socialism even further.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh crap.
the sweeping resolution, which calls for the United States to eliminate additional emissions of planet-warming carbon dioxide by 2030, was also signed by more than 60 House and Senate Democrats. The plan is a non-binding resolution and outlines goals in broad strokes rather than mapping out concrete legislation.
Okay, so yeah, this one was signed by 60. Where is that one? Where is that resolution?
Yeah, exactly. What the heck is going on?
Is that
It's the new year,
am I
dude.
just out of the loop and I don't see that?
Dude, it's the new year. It's just something you make for yourself. I mean, do they really need to? Does everybody really have to share their resolution with you? Oh crap, wrong one. Sorry.
Mr. Ocommio Cortez has promoted the plan as a blueprint for the eventual Democratic presidential nominee, but Republicans have turned the episode with the FAQ into a campaign moment, putting out a news release saying the document revealed the, quote, new extreme left's startling priorities. They completely screwed it up, said John Fieri, Republican and former senior House aide. The fact that a young freshman would make careless mistakes is not that surprising. The fact that all these presidential candidates who are trying to distinguish themselves from the president by saying they have gravitas and credibility would so blindly follow her is a little shocking. Mistakes happen when coordinating multiple groups and collaborators. Mr. Chakrabarty wrote on Twitter, "What's in the resolution is the GND." That looks like the end of the article there.
I'm surprised they didn't blame the Russians again, in all honesty.
Yeah.
So, and this is something that
the Russian bots are their scapegoat.
there's another thing we didn't touch on is she was talking about renovating every building to make it more economically efficient. Now, all of this is supposed to be done by the year 2030. All of it. Like, you're going to replace every building in the U.S. with more efficient buildings by 2030.
Okay, does she assume that we have, like, every second equals 50 years or something? I mean, seriously, that's... like... And I can't even imagine. That's just so stupid. Like, there's not enough people in the world to get that done.
Yeah,
just in the United States.
We're gonna enlist every person outside of the United States to just help us with our construction effort.
Not only that. Just think about all the historic buildings that we lost.
Well, the other part of this is she was talking about every dollar spent in this manner is like, oh, but we're going to get a return on investment and all this sort of thing. But she's talking about renovating buildings that if there was a return on investment, people would be proposing these renovations of those buildings to begin with, right? But we're going to be renovating buildings that people don't want, businesses that people don't care about, that aren't making any money. Oh, hey, let's make this building energy efficient. And like, but who cares? That's a business nobody wants to go to. They're losing money every month hand over fist, and you're just going to give them a brand new building. And look at all this economic gain. No, you're not going to see that economic gain. It's the hubris of Keynesian economics. Spending money doesn't matter where it goes. Any spending is good instead of whereas the Austrian economics is more like, no, you need to make sure where you're spending money is the place where your money is getting the most return on investment.
Mm-hmm. And all this stuff about climate change and global warming, it's just part of the jargon that goes with the Agenda 21 type stuff that still planning to do a series on. So it's really nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, who's echoing?
That's what I've been
Everyone
trying to
is,
figure out.
basically. Everyone's echoing, what the fuck.
Weird.
I've got my headphones on, so it's not me.
Alright, it's not me.
Yeah, I had muted my mic,
Actually,
so
wait.
there was an echo, and also my computer fan was speeding. It was getting really loud.
It's probably me. Hold on, I'll get my headphones. Be right
Yeah,
back.
I think it is her because I'm in my small room that I don't think even has an echo.
But so the other thing she was talking about replacing all current transportation with like more efficient rails and all this sort of thing. And I forget who I was watching, but he brought up, does she not know about the rail in California that is a big disaster? It's a whole bunch of money spent for absolutely nothing. It's that entire fiasco. She wants that kind of all across the country, not just in California. She wants all these. Maybe one or two will succeed. Who knows? But if California didn't do it right, how does she think it's going to get done right when government's in charge of it across the country?
She wants monorails from the USA all the way to an entirely different country. I don't even think that's possible without people dying. Sinatra made a pretty good video on this, explaining like how you're going to get it across multiple oceans, and if there's a slight shift in the Earth, it destroys everything, and a lot of people die for no reason.
And I'm just thinking along the lines of, you know how to say a prayer, you just say Godspeed? Allahu Akbar speed.
Right, anyway, as I was going to say,
Allah speed.
We're talking Great Wall of China level amount of labor that would be required. Even worse.
Yeah, and it works for
the absurdity of building a border wall, saying that would be impossible because there's too much distance to cover, and you can never get something like that made.
Yeah,
and
it was an empire, right? Everything is like you obey us or you die. So essentially the Great Wall of China was built on slave labor. And it's like, oh, if she's proposing something on that same scale, well, the only way to achieve it, at least financially, would be, oh, we got to build it entirely on slave labor. Wait, didn't we abolish that though?
Yeah. No, the harsh reality is we are all still slaves. We get extorted every year. We are still enslaved, whether we like it or not. We didn't abolish shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to mention all that before I was interrupted, but whatever.
All right. I guess for anything else, let's
well, the thing
I'll
is,
be back.
The other thing is, if this was actually if this would actually increase the economy, if this would actually be something good and like, oh, we'd see return on investment, this is something you could make a business proposal for and take it to a company. Like, hey, if you do X, Y, and Z, you'll save money or you'll get a return on investment. And business owners like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk would be like, okay, sign up. Like, Elon Musk is throwing money at this, the Hyperloop and going to Mars. You give him something that's like, hey, if you do this, you're going to make an extra $1 trillion a year. He's like, okay, he signs off on it, and he'll throw money at it. I mean, he's willing to risk money on crazy things. Why wouldn't he risk money on something sound? Jeff Bezos, Peter Thiel, all of these billionaires, they've made a habit of investing in things that return on that investment.
Well, isn't she also the woman that wants to take money away from the healthcare system in the private sector because she is that incompetent? Like, you would think that if she was as smart as she was, she would take it to the private sector, but she also wants to take healthcare away from the private sector because she thinks that's a problem somehow.
Yeah.
Well, she was raised on a silver spoon, so what do you expect? She knows nothing about
that. I don't know what you're talking about. She is totally Jenny from the Bronx.
Right.
From the Bronx, yes, if that means anything.
Yeah, she watched her mom clean toilets. No, never mind that her dad was an architect. No, he was making pennies. The mom was the one that raised.
I have a friend that also lives in New York that's way more of a Bronx girl than she'll ever be. At least she lives in a shitty part of New York, in a shitty house, with parents that don't make much money. She's more of a Bronx girl than Cortez.
I'm more of a Bronx girl than her, and I live in New York, but not anywhere near the Bronx.
No. I've actually grown up in a ghetto before because I come from a very dirt poor family, and only now recently in my life am I living in a nice middle class situation. But most of my life, I've been growing up in all kinds of ghettos, shitty apartment complexes. Hell, one apartment complex I lived at, the maintenance man never did his job. That's how bad it was. They paid a maintenance man to effectively do nothing.
Jeez.
All right. I guess let's get to the next topic, the Vic Mignogna case.
Oh yeah, that.
I just made a video on that on my channel today.
Yeah, it's good. For those who don't know, Vic Mignogna is an anime voice actor. He's been a voice for many characters, including Dragon Ball Z. Wasn't he?
He was
voice
Vegeta.
for.
He was also a part of Persona and Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah,
and he played a character in Bleach.
He did. What was the main guy's name? Edward's voice, right?
Yeah. He also played 5 Naruto characters, apparently.
Holy crap.
And I think he was 5 from Tsubasa Chronicle.
He played over 200 characters.
Yeah.
You might as well just bother getting the famous ones out of the way because you won't name them all, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Even I can't.
Yeah, so he's been in this career for a very, very long time, along with his coworker who, well, it all started when there was this Facebook group, right, of SJWs?
Mm-hmm.
SJW.
They did a premeditated attack against him. They're trying to start some anime gate shit. And here's another interesting thing that a lot of people leave out. There was a scene in the recent Dragon Ball movie that actually triggered the SJWs, where one of the characters, Vegeta, covered Bulma's ears so she couldn't hear something.
What?
And that triggered the hell out of them for some reason.
Okay, that's just
like how is he to blame for that? He just does the character's voice. He didn't write for the character.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Your guess is as good as mine. I didn't want to know because I feared that I would drop dead from brain damage if I tried to find out the answer.
This is like the curse of the Hope Diamond. Even the people who just deliver the damn thing to the museum aren't safe.
Yeah. Plus, what's so? What? Plus, what is so oppressive about a guy looking after his wife? I mean, come on.
Yeah,
she did the same thing for him.
I mean, for all we knew, he could have been covering her ears from hearing some mansplaining. For all you morons knew, maybe the husband was just trying to be a good male feminist. Maybe Goku was just mansplaining. or Broly was mansplaining to his wife, and he just wanted to be a good ally.
Yeah, saving her from that toxic masculinity.
Yeah, so what they did was, Photoshop pictures of Vic Mignogna with his fans to make it look like he did something inappropriate. So
except their attempt to make him look like a rapist didn't even succeed, because the extent of his so-called sexual harassment was innocent hugs and a kiss on the head, which in and of itself is not sexual. I even mentioned this a point in my video that unless Vic Mignogna is shoving his tongue down their throats, it's not sexual. And if you're making it sexual, you are the pervert if you see someone kissing someone on the head and you see that as sexual.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, I have one DeviantArt follower and friend on Discord who is kind of an SJW, and she's one shut up about the whole situation, or because she kept making fun of Vic Mignogna, even though I told her, hey, wait until you find out whether or not he's innocent or not. Like, I honestly don't think she's a bad person. She's just very misled.
Yeah, I went through the same thing, except it was the direct opposite. I had a subscriber of mine who really wanted me to talk about the situation because he heard about it, and he was very angry because he actually is a Vic Mignogna fan, and he's pissed off to see all these voice actors turn against Vic Mignogna, and he really wanted me to talk about it because he felt that since I was a YouTuber that I had some reach, and he felt so helpless that he wanted to do something, but he felt that he couldn't do something. So he really wanted me to talk about it. I was originally going to stay out of it, but it became something way bigger than I could have possibly imagined. And I thought, okay, this is bigger than I thought. I actually do need to get involved in this. But the pushing point for me was when, like Kitty brought up, Vic Mignogna's coworker just so happens to be my favorite voice actress. When she got involved in this scandal, then that gave me a little bit of the push I need to see, okay, what the hell is going on here?
Okay, when you said got involved, does that mean she's making accusations against him, or
well, it
she's
started out as some fans like calling her out, and then she decided to block fans for no reason. Then she decided to say that, oh, well, I've actually known about these accusations for 2 decades. I never knew about it. Like she keeps changing her story. First, she says she knew about these accusations for 2 decades, but then in another tweet, she says, well, I got sexually assaulted myself by him, but I didn't know that this was happening. I thought it was only a one-time thing. She keeps changing her story.
Oh my god.
Basically, she's trying to throw Vic Mignogna under the bus because conveniently, when Vic Mignogna got fired, she got all his positions, including a managerial position that Vic Mignogna had. She threw him under the bus to elevate herself.
Yeah, it's really shitty.
Okay.
Wow.
So I don't know if these are true or not. I mean, I'm just hearing about this for the first time. But if you know about something that has been going on for years,
it makes you.
Why wouldn't you do something about that?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to report it. If you have evidence of rape, including of minors, you have to report that shit no matter what.
If you hear a rumor about something like that and you work with somebody, you go to HR and be like, hey, I don't know about this. I'm not making this is something you should be looking into, because if there's rumors, maybe there's nothing. Maybe it's, or if you find something, this is something that needs to be stopped. And if she says that that she was a victim, that's something that immediately
when her lies didn't work. And what's even worse is the extent of these claims is photoshopped pictures and hearsay. Oh, well, I heard at a convention that he gets sexual with fans in the back of the cons. Again, it's all just hearsay. It's basically it's Brett Kavanaugh all over again, except this time it's happening in the anime community. Also, it's worth noting that Vic Mignogna is a open Christian, which, as we know, is the devil to these people.
Yeah, the only group that it's okay to destroy in every way possible, and like you can't say anything bad against Jews, you can't say anything bad against Muslims, but Christian, oh, okay, yep, open season.
They try to call him homophobic, even though he's been on camera. He went to a rally of actual homophobic Christians being homophobic, and he starts yelling at them and arguing with them from an actual Christian perspective, like talking about Jesus and all this. And he freaking was pissed off with these people.
Oh yeah, anybody who's actually Christian who hears about the Westboro Baptist, you're like, dude, no, those are the people. Like, I'm military and also a Christian, and I'm like, yeah, those people are just the lowest of the low. Yeah, you hear about something like that, and you're like, those are the people that, as a Christian, I would be going up there and debating with them, let alone atheists or
why
some
bother?
other kind
They're
of
just
group.
a bunch of brainwashed dumbasses.
Yeah, I mean, as far as debate, it wouldn't go very. But yeah, those were the people that I would be counter protesting.
Well, unless you're talking about
they don't represent
granddaughter.
Yeah, they don't represent any who actually reads the Bible.
But of course, they do what they do, and it's just all of it was all too convenient that most people, except for the most brainwashed sheep, weren't buying.
And this woman is like Monica Rial. She's 40 years old, right?
She is 40. She's 40 years old, and she was raised in Texas. You would think this means she has a lick of common sense in her brain, and she should know how this goes. But once we found out her true intentions, it all became clear. She knew what she was doing. She wanted to tear him down to take his job. And she tried to play it off as a female voice actor taking a male voice actor's job. That's impossible. Even though females have voiced male characters before. Timmy Turner was voiced by a woman.
Most child characters are voiced by adult women,
Yep, and even then, she tried to play stupid, but the main thing is Vic Mignogna conveniently had a managerial position. Of course, she conveniently takes that position. It was all about elevating herself. And I was actually a longtime fan of this woman. I loved her work. She voiced so many characters that I loved. One of them, named Misaki, was the inspiration for the character that I created that you see in my profile picture. That character was the template for her. And when I heard all this, I became so angry about this. I followed her on Twitter just to give her a piece of my mind. And eventually I just started saying, you know what, you're a disgusting human being. Today I tweeted at her, I hope that managerial position was worth ruining your reputation. I hope it was worth it, Monica.
Yeah,
and she's trying to say that, oh, she has all these lawyers and she made a testimony to the court and her lawyers and the police are saying, I need to stay away from Twitter because I'm getting death threats, even though these death threats are outraged people demanding evidence.
Gee whiz, I wonder where that thing came.
Great, now she's the Anita Sarkeesian of the anime industry.
Yep, and of course you can't provide a single shred of evidence, nothing. Not even her, her mindless grown sheep fans can provide any evidence. The few that try to come to her defense.
Yeah, these people who all had a hand in damaging Vic Mignogna's reputation and pretty much damaging his career in voice acting.
He lost 2 jobs in anime. He lost a job at Funimation and then at Rooster Teeth, which shouldn't be a bad thing because Rooster Teeth makes garbage shows anyway, but that's besides the point.
Wait, Rooster Teeth?
Yeah, Rooster Teeth, they fired him. He works on that garbage show Ruby. Yeah, they fired him.
For
they
what?
have no integrity.
So, out of curiosity, how the heck did we jump onto this from Ocommio Cortez?
Oh, it's just the second subject that was picked. But
yeah, it was the second subject that she had planned.
I'm looking through this. There's a post on Twitter from some guy named Kung Fu Man, and it's one of the doctored images. So it's one that Funimation was claiming that Vic, one of the reasons they fired him, where he is giving a hug to a fan, and you can see him kissing, looks like around her ear. And then next to that, there's an actual tweet from the person in the photo. The person, like one picture has her face blurred out, but it's the same outfit, same location. She's got a picture of them hugging each other, and she says, this was consensual. This is the person that Funimation is claiming is the victim.
Yeah, she made a tweet. She said she was not happy about this. She called them out saying that I gave consent, and not only she gave consent, her mother gave consent. She asked for her mother's consent for her to give consent.
This is
damn, son.
So here's Funimation claiming that he's abusing a victim or whatever, and the victim themselves is like, "What are you guys talking about?" The victim themselves.
She's a fan. She loves Vic Mignogna. And Vic Mignogna, he's an Italian man, and apparently this came to my knowledge in a video that Italian people are known for like their friendly physical affection. But
yeah, even then, this is by her claim, by his claim, by everybody else who knows about the incident. It's like, yeah, this was consensual. This is some third party looking on and saying, no, what do you know? You were just there and you were just embracing him. What would you know about consent?
They don't even know what consent is. I mean, we have a bunch of Zarna Joshis running around.
Mm-hmm. That's insane.
And running a boycott, but Funimation, it's freaking ridiculous. I even in my video, granted, some of my comments that you criticized me for this, but I'm not known for being the nice guy like Vic Mignogna. I flat out told Funimation and Rooster Teeth, go fuck yourself. You have no integrity. You do not deserve to have jobs, and you should pray every single day that we do not live in a true capitalist system, because people in the anime community would go to your competitors and you would go bankrupt.
And the one major mistake Vic made was apologizing for it. It's like, dude, haven't you seen these people enough? The worst thing you can do is apologize. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, that he deserves this bullshit for that, but that's like the one thing I learned a while ago is that, you know, the worst thing to do with SJWs is apologize to them.
Yep. I unfortunately
Are you
had to
kidding?
make the same point in my video that he, for the most part, he's handled this perfectly. The one mistake was apologizing. What I always said in my video was what he should have done, and I even tweeted this to him. Your one mistake was apologizing. What you should have done was you should have ignored them or mocked them, thrown memes at them, treat them like the anonymous nobodies that they are.
Oh, I would have goaded them. See, I would have apologized just so I can get them to act like they usually do, and find a way to trigger them even more.
If it was me, I would have shredded them with memes, because we all know that memes are kryptonite to these people.
Yeah.
I
would have doubled down on them and been like, "Go fuck your moms" or whatever you do.
Yeah, that is a popular one, it seems.
Yeah, and about this case, it's just looking into this for myself and knowing the different sides. It brought back just unpleasant memories of when my dad was accused for sexual harassment.
Jeez.
And his reputation and career in education got damaged because of this false accusation of sexual harassment that wasn't at all true. He never touched the girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something similar happened to two friends I knew. They also got accused of sexual harassment. One of them is so terrified of dating women, he's considering going gay because the false accusation messed him up that much.
We can't really go gay, but okay.
See, for me, I have my own personal... Oh, sorry, Koi, go ahead.
No, I'm done. Well, there is something else I wanted to say afterwards.
Oh,
but,
yeah, there's something I'm going to say, but you were talking already, so go ahead.
Yeah. So I also have my own personal experience when I worked at a gas station for a little while. Basically, this one girl that was dating a friend of mine ended up breaking up with him, and the first thing she does is, oh, he was abusive and all that stuff. And from what everybody remembers of this guy, he was actually one of the sweetest people we know. He's like the he's like the masculine version of Marianne here. And yeah, he's like the masculine variant of you. And basically, unfortunately, because she played because you know, she's this cute young girl, she says, oh yeah, he abused me and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, all the guys are, except for my best friend, all of us are ready to go. We're out for blood, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it still exists, sadly. It is easy to manipulate a lot of guys because of that, but I don't think they realize they're overplaying it. But anyway, this same girl, later on, she decides, I work over at this bar as well. You know, basically she had a second job, so she offers to mix me a drink, and I'm like, you know what? I really want a gin and tonic because that's what we were talking about. While we had the same shift that day, so on our days off, I go over, get a drink to see what it's see what her gin and tonic tastes like, because that's like my favorite drink. And she, next thing I know, she leaves the bar, and then I go back to work the next day, and my boss is talking to me about leaving her alone because I'm stalking her and stuff. And that was like for the next 3 months before she got caught stealing. I was just freaking terrified of her. Like, I basically got locked in the back room. People thought I had quit the job or something because of that. And it's just, God.
How?
It happens all the time.
Hey,
yeah, it's easy. It's too easy.
Stop interrupting. Hey.
Sorry.
How does anyone interpret a visit to a bar as stalking? I mean,
I have no idea.
You were invited.
Remember that crazy bitch who filmed herself, like, being all paranoid and stuff? Then she goes up to this random guy in what was it? Random delivery guy in his car, and he says, "Stop!" She says, "Stop stalking me." And he's
yeah,
like,
it was a mailman doing his job.
Yeah, and he's like, "I have never seen you in my entire life, lady."
Oh God, I remember that video. That was hilarious.
Oh man.
I went through a similar situation where I had a girl break up with me, and then she tried to claim claims of abuse, but she didn't claim sexual abuse. She claimed mental abuse. But then eventually, her boyfriend tried to say that I was a stalker because, get this, I got tickets to an anime convention that was located in her area. I dropped by her house and I said, hey, would you like to come to this anime convention with me? I got a second ticket. And he interpreted that as me stalking her, even though I texted her ahead of time that I was going to be coming down to that area for 3 days for said convention. And it got so bad, he got so paranoid and so angry that that happened. And I'm assuming he also came off as jealous because apparently he's easily jealous, and he probably saw what I was doing as maybe some kind of romantic gesture or something, and said, oh, if you ever try to talk to her again, I'm going to tell every ANCAP I know that you're a stalker and I will have your reputation ruined. And then the guy blocked me because he's a little coward white knight cuck.
Careful not to give out too much details.
Don't worry, I'm not. I'm going to be as vague as possible. I don't want to name anybody, of course.
So I have a question for not just everybody in this channel, but even the viewers. How many of you have noticed that there has been a greater deal of overseas marriages, i.e. mail-order brides, because of feminism?
I have not noticed this, to be honest.
No.
No, I didn't notice either, but...
I've heard about it.
So I know that's big in the military, but not as far as overseas brides as in importing them. It's going over there, getting a wife, bringing them back here. And overwhelmingly, those end in divorce. And I've heard the horror stories of people who've had it happen to them. Is they go over there, they meet a nice girl, they get married, everything's going great. They come back to the States. They end up hanging around people from their home country, going to their communities, and the people there convince them to get a divorce because they get half of his military salary. So it's like they were perfectly fine, and then she comes back here and meets other people that are from her country that came to either here on visas and they convince these girls to divorce because, hey, half the military salary, you don't have to do anything.
Yep, there's actually a neighbor directly across from the street where I live that just went through that. So.
And and if the guy is retired, that means half that military salary for the rest of her life.
Yep.
See,
the problem with that is that of course, I know this is personal experience, but the problem I see with that is that I actually know a lot of people here that have had basically. Basically they got married to women from overseas. Like one of my coworkers from that same gas station, by the way, like almost his entire family is that way. And they all live happy marriages. So I've only met one person. The only person has been that one.
Oh, you're talking about like finding a nice, decent girl here in the United States, not all that likely, but maybe they're, go overseas. Where they're still, to some place where they haven't been brainwashed into feminism and all that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why they're getting the mail order brides.
Gotcha.
Well,
okay.
the problem is feminism is also so widespread in other countries, so it's very difficult to escape. And I've always saw marriage as a joke because I feel that ever since the concept of divorce became invented, it invalidates marriage because it gives women an incentive to divorce their husbands.
Yeah, it's not just divorce. It's when under Ronald Reagan where they introduced no-fault divorce.
Yep.
You divorce for any reason. It used to be if you got divorced for no reason, well, then you're on your own. Now it's you get divorced for any reason, you get to split the assets.
Yeah, it shouldn't be allowed. Or I mean, that's like a lot of bullshit.
Now, in the case where it's like, okay, one partner is unfaithful and you're getting divorced because of that, well, then the assets would, doesn't make sense to punish the person who's leaving. And usually, even before the no-fault divorce, the assets would be split. But if you got divorced just because you're unhappy in the marriage, you're like, oh, well, some arbitrary reason, then you were just on your own.
But it also gives the cheater an incentive too, because they still get to keep at least half the assets. I mean, imagine if they lost everything, that would be more of an incentive that, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Oh yeah, that'd be because if your partner was unfaithful, they could they take the house and kick you out. Yep. Now it's the you know what, she's just unsatisfied. She's trying to move on to new things, so you get kicked out of your house, and then
So once again, it's the state's fault all to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is usually I hear it's Israel's fault. My favorite thing is that if anybody who wants to know what Israel is like, with feminism there, keep in mind that the women are equally conscripted and trained how to fight as equals with the men. The men are terrified of the women in Israel.
Well, Israel has like the second best army in the world, only ours being ranked above it. Like, their army ain't no joke.
They haven't lost the war either, so.
Nope.
But that's the funny thing right there, is that the men are terrified of the women because of feminism and what it has done there, because they have genuine militant feminism going on down there. It's like, yeah, we got militant feminists here because they're all marching. No, you're not. The women in Israel, they know how to shoot rifles. They will take you out from a distance. And not only that, if you're a man, they will aim low first.
Oof.
I don't remember. There's that one video of the Israeli sniper chick, and you see the bullet like it hits like 2 inches away from her head, and she just looks at it and laughs, and then goes back to shooting. You're like, okay, that's that's pretty intimidating there.
Either way,
for now I'll try.
She's laughing. Ha! You missed me.
Volunteers consumers here.
Yeah, volunteers.
Welcome aboard, dude.
Welcome back, friend.
Anyway, getting shot in the dick by an Israeli feminist, that just brings a whole new meaning to the term headshot.
Yeah.
I see you did there.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yep.
Yeah, and I know we moved on from the Vic story, but I was reading through some of this stuff, and this just seemed kind of odd. I was good. So everything from kissing and groping to overstaying his panel time and then not signing gay fan art. Wait. So okay, what? Kissing and groping. Oh, and by the way, he also didn't sign gay fan art. One of these doesn't belong.
Oh my god, that bigot!
I'm trying to understand how that is an accusation that is being lumped in with, like, okay, if he is groping fans, if he is being inappropriate with them, how does that and also, can you believe this? You wouldn't sign gay fan art. And you're like, not fan art, or not fans that are gay that are sending him. No, it's art that is specifically itself. Like, I forget the term, yaoi?
Yaoi.
Yaoi? Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that stuff is very, very smutty too. It's
like,
like, I mean, I even as someone who's into that, it's like they don't like have much variety in that. They need like more variety in that, because like the thing is, like yaoi is just for basically straight or bi chicks who want to jerk off to it. They have actual gay guys need to have their own genre called bara.
Okay. Yeah, but it's like refusing to sign art like that. Okay, who cares? Like, oh well, maybe because what if he's not one of the characters in that, right? Because he was in the animes, he's doing the voice acting for specific characters. Like, if it was a character from a scene that he was actually in, okay. But it's like, oh, this is some fan art of his character having sex with another dude. He's kind of like that. You have fun with that guy. Maybe sign my Full Metal Alchemist poster instead. Yeah. I don't see how that is a gripe against a voice actor. It just seems kind of odd that they would like, he did this and he did that, and also he would not sign this yaoi art. And you're like, wait, why would you even? That to me makes the other accusations seem less credible, because you're like, Why would they even bother with this? Wouldn't they just focus on that? Okay, if he's groping fans, that should be something. Anyway, that should be something you focus on, and you should completely ignore the other. But when you're like, okay, he did this, and he also stole a pack of gum. And it's like, yeah, but he killed 12 people. Yeah, but he stole that Bubblicious. He didn't pay for that. And I'm like, he killed 12 people. What do you? Why are you even bothering mentioning this?
Wait, I hope Voluntaris didn't leave because I started getting to what Yowie was.
Yeah, he did leave.
Sorry, that's why.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if that's why you left. I'm sorry.
Come back. I
okay,
promise. I'm sorry for bringing up the anime again. I will.
I
We'll go
shouldn't
back
have
to
said
stuff
anything.
about other things.
Okay, guys.
Let's talk about the gold stuff.
Guys, we got to chat.
Zowie.
Okay. Oh shit just said, I'm pretty sure that you would know if your girlfriend is unfaithful before you get married. So if you get married and you don't know if she's faithful, shame on you. Yeah, I don't know how to respond to that.
I'm kind of in agreement with him. If you're to the point where you're getting married, you know what type of person they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you should, but that shit happens as they say.
I mean, if somebody is going to sneak around on you after the marriage and all that sort of thing, that means you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Because or you jumped into it without being prepared. So there's one thing is like, yes, she might have been lying to you or he might have been lying to you and you didn't realize it, but that's part of your responsibility if you're going to get married to someone is you need to make sure this person is exactly who I think they are. You need to do your research, ask their friends and family, get their history, what are their past relationships. This is all stuff you should know before making a commitment with somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't like this person in the same sense, if you get into a business deal with somebody, I'm getting an echo. Can you mute yourself real fast? Yeah. Anyway,
too much background.
yeah, if you're getting into a business deal with somebody, and you investigate who you're getting to a partnership with, because what if you're getting into a partnership and then along the lines they're going to be embezzling from you or they're going to be doing something that underhands and that destroys your entire business. That's on you because you didn't properly vet them. I mean, granted, they're a terrible person for doing it in the first place, but it doesn't matter. You should take every precaution to protect yourself from being the victim.
Yeah, that's the thing I really don't get about a lot of these people. And why I think this whole emphasis on personal feelings is just, like, all right, if you know you're not going to, all right, we get it. There are going to be some hard times in a relationship. There are going to be some ups and downs. Mm-hmm. There are going to be times where you're unhappy. But if that's the criteria, then you might as well just not get married at all.
Yeah. If somebody is willing to cheat on you because a temporary, upset within the relationship, that's not somebody you should have married in the first place. And so you should know enough about the person's character to know that, okay, it doesn't matter how bad things get, they're not going to turn to someone else. They are committed to making this relationship work. If you don't know enough to make, like, if the person isn't committed, I mean, that's entirely what the marriage vows are. Till death do us part is usually that's part of the traditional marriage vows, right? For better or worse, sickness and health, till death do us part. If somebody is not sincere about that, and so that's somebody who is cheating on their partner is obviously not actively working on their relationship. They're not trying to make the relationship work. If somebody actually believes that and then they go and cheat on their spouse, that's a completely fundamental shift in who the person is.
Yeah,
and you see warning signs of that.
Yeah, and it's right there in the word vow.
Yeah.
It's a promise. You break that promise, then
Yeah, I mean that's
all about trust.
And I know most of the people in the anarcho-capitalist community are not religious and all that sort of thing, and I'm okay with you guys not being religious, but it's when you look at couples that stay together and the number of people cheating on their spouses in religious households, it's way lower than the national average is.
What was that?
I mean, even like people who are adamantly, so Stefan Monalou is one. I don't know what your guys' opinions of him, but even though he's an atheist, he's saying, you know what, if you're looking for a good wife, religions, even though he opposes religion on a fundamental level, he's like, you're more likely to find somebody who's conservative or maybe even libertarian and somebody who has values that they will stand by if you find them in a church. That's he's written dozens of books against the existence of God and against religion in general, and even he's like, yeah, statistically that you can't deny the evidence there.
Right, and not only that, but the ones that are getting a divorce, chances are they were not really all that committed anyway to the faith or any of the other values.
Yeah. I mean,
oh, hello, Daniel, and we finally get to see his face.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh, Daniel's here.
But yeah, part of that is if you're going to try it shows that you're at least committed to some kind of values. And a lot of the stuff that we're seeing with people ending up, or with these terrible relationships and all this feminist nonsense, it's because people have no values that they cling to, that they hold. It's the postmodernist values don't exist, everything's subjective. And you're like, with somebody who actually believes that and is raised by that the whole life and doesn't actually think that there is a moral good or there is anything that you should be pursuing and everything is equal, you're likely to get somebody who's like, yeah, they're just as much likely to cheat on you and sleep around as they are to stick with you. You're flipping a coin at that point. Whereas if somebody who's, whether devout or not, if they're at least putting up the effort to attend church or something like that, it means that they believe there is something worth pursuing. They at least hold some kind of standard as opposed to no standard whatsoever. That's just my advice for anybody who's looking for a relationship, though.
Right.
Even if you don't believe in it, hey, maybe it's worth it to go and just if you're looking for a good place to meet people for a relationship.
Okay, anyway, I was going to say, Timothy, we might as well introduce Daniel Westfall. I mean, it's been a while since he's been active, so...
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
No
really
problem.
Quiet. You're very quiet.
Oh, I was just listening to what y'all were talking about.
Doge is listening too.
A wild Doge.
This doesn't really have anything to do with what y'all were saying, but there's either somebody behind you that is mimicking your movements, Timothy.
Oh no, it's a mirror.
There's a mirror.
Yeah, it's a mirror, and I got to make sure that I don't move too far one way to the left or the right. Otherwise, the light that doesn't have a lampshade on it is pretty much blinding.
Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed it was a mirror too.
Mm-hmm. He actually has a twin.
Nothing I can do about that. Maybe if I put my shoulders up, it'll be
cool.
less distracting.
I like it's like a clone or a twin behind you.
Let me see how you
He's back there playing League of Legends while I'm on this.
Yeah, your voice is getting a little deeper, Daniel.
Thanks. I didn't think it's changed much, but I don't know. I guess it's been a few months, so I guess it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So, Ancapistani, did you want to try to squeeze in the conversation about this the gold bill, or think we're gonna start to wrap this up for the evening?
I think we got time for this topic. I still have the tab up, so I could share screen that.
Okay. I actually have a question now that someone said it.
This actually goes who? Wait, Timothy. Question.
Yeah.
Do you think? Okay, so someone in chat said relationships are overrated. What would you think about overratedness in relationships? Doge asked the Lord Timothy.
That sounds like MGTOW fatalistic views on relationships, and like it sounds like somebody who's either hasn't had a good relationship or the most recent relationship they had ended pretty badly, and then now they're like, oh no, I'm done. I'm not gonna. That's.
Rest their souls.
While it is getting increasingly harder and harder to find a good relationship, I'm still optimistic in that avenue that hey, there's somebody out there and I'm going to meet them and be like, oh, this is, and it's much easier to go through life when you have somebody there who has just as much interest in your success as you do, and that's the entire reason why the core of any society is the basic family unit. And anytime a society tries to be successful without a core family, like without two people supporting each other and without the extended family supporting them, that society crumbles. But anytime they try to do something different other than that, it leads to disastrous results. Like if you look at these shared spouses or shared children community and all this sort of thing, where people, if it extends beyond just a handful of people in your immediate family, so yeah, I guess maybe this is a too long of an answer, but the ties that bind us between blood and all that sort of thing is pretty strong when you're talking about relationships and all. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, this attitude of getting rid of marriage and all that, that's exactly what the state wants. They're engineering this problem in the first place. Once we give into that, they win.
No,
Yeah.
it's the fucking queers.
Wait, I didn't pass by this part. You said the government's trying to get rid of marriage?
Yeah.
What?
Where is that?
I mean, why else do you think they'd be encouraging these activists to go against the family unit? There's a reason there. Right? The whole thing about the family is once you get rid of that, who are you going to trust?
Yeah,
This is exactly the sort of situation government exploits. That sense of hopelessness. I mean, we've seen this with Sargon for crying out loud in regards to the internet. Don't take the bait.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you are isolated from a family that can help you and support you, well, where are you going to run to? Government. This is why you've seen government policies increase single motherhood, and who do they rely on? Not finding a husband to help them support their child. No, they run to government, and government grows in size.
Government help.
So it's kind of a negative cycle of getting people dependent on the government, and stable families tend to be Republican and tend to vote against bigger government. That's not in government's best interest. They need to split up the family, get people dependent on the government, and get people voting for more government policies and taking more tax dollars.
Government.
I wouldn't say the Republicans are any better, but anyway.
Yeah.
They're for big government when it comes to intervention.
Yeah, it's whether you want the government to grow exponentially or whether you want it to grow linearly. It's still growing either way, but
yeah.
Okay, so you had that gold thing.
Yeah, I'll bring it back up.
Yeah, I'll talk about gold.
Yeah, I want to talk about gold.
I like Timothy's speech. I like your speeches.
Oh, thank you.
All right. U.S. Congress, this is from the Activist Post. U.S. Congressman introduces bill to remove income taxation from gold and silver.
Nice.
The battle to end taxation of constitutional money has reached the federal level as U.S. Representative Alex Mooney today reintroduced sound money legislation to remove all federal income taxation from gold and silver coins and bullion. The Monetary Metals Tax Neutrality Act, H.R. 1089, backed by the Sound Money Defense League and free market activists, would clarify that the sale or exchange of precious metals, bullion, and coins are not to be included in capital gains, losses, or any other type of federal income calculation. My view, which is backed up by language in the U.S. Constitution, is that gold and silver coins are money and are legal tender, Rep. Mooney said. If they are indeed U.S. money, it seems there should be no taxes on them at all. Why are we taxing these coins as collectibles? Acting unilaterally, Internal Revenue Service bureaucrats have placed gold and silver in the same collectibles category as artwork, Beanie Babies, and baseball cards, a classification that subjects the monetary metals to a discriminatorily high long-term capital gains tax rate of 28%.
There's a tax on Beanie Babies?
Yeah.
Oh.
Remember that stupid video that one guy made?
Oh, yeah, Alex Clark.
Yeah.
Oh.
News to me.
Trash talking Bitcoin. He's like, Beanie Babies are the future.
Oh yeah, that. Is that cartoon?
Yeah, that
stupid cartoon.
Well, I'm a little confused as to why these assets are considered capital or subject to the capital gains tax. Like even artwork and baseball cards. Like, why do we even have this category for things like that at all?
They just want people.
I don't really know anything about that. I know there isn't a capital gains tax in Texas, at least, or at least when it comes to trading gold and silver. I highly doubt this will pass because, like, I mean, one, it's controlled by Democrats right now, and two, like even if it was Republicans, they have like no incentive to do that to pass.
Yeah, this is against the best interest of both parties. But it's interesting that this is even getting out there.
Well, I mean, isn't this an anarchist article? I thought I saw an anarchy symbol in there somewhere on that website.
Yeah, I was going to say, they just want people to be dependent on depth notes as opposed to more rare items that have an actual supply and demand.
True.
And that's pretty much what a Federal Reserve note is. A borrowed item. Congress borrows it, and then they use that. And the only way to pay off the Federal Reserve is to either borrow more or tax more. Either way, we're screwed.
Yeah. Continuing on the article, sound money activists have long pointed out it is inappropriate to apply any federal income tax, regardless of the rate, against the only kind of money named in the U.S. Constitution. And the IRS has never defended how its position squares up with current law. Furthermore, the U.S. Mint continuously mints coins of gold, silver, platinum, and palladium, and gives each of these coins a legal tender value denominated in U.S. dollars. This formal status as U.S. money further underscores the peculiarity of the IRS's tax treatment. A tax...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, get this. $1 silver dollar, well, the silver eagle anyway, is currently worth more than $10. Legal tender.
I have a silver dollar that's worth like $20.
Wait, is it? Is it?
I know mine is. I don't know what when you last checked that.
You're talking about it's worth $10 based on the amount of silver in it?
Yeah, well, more than 10. More than 10, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I've got one that's worth like $23.
More than silver?
Is it?
It's a silver coin. It's worth $23.
Yeah. Is that purely based on the metals within it, or is it based on its collectible status?
I think it's based on the amount of silver that's in it. Or it might be how pure it is too. I don't know.
But yeah, that's it was only like $12
from tarnishing, and I haven't opened it out of that, so it's probably also adds value to it. But it's cool. I got it on my 18th birthday, I think.
Yeah, I know my brother does a lot of silver and gold collecting as far as coins and all that sort of thing. So I was like, oh, this is. If this actually passes, I know who I'm going to call. Like, dude.
Ghostbusters. Sorry.
State Busters. What are you talking
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Buddy.
If this isn't already a thing, there should be like an egoist thing, Spook Busters. That'd be great.
Yeah. Use cash to buy the silver. Do not purchase online.
Yeah.
They'll track you twice.
Oh yeah, purchase it with cash. Don't leave a paper trail.
Yeah.
Hey, can I get something in before it drops me out again? Because Hangouts is not working for me now that I've.
No, that's because the NSA is against you. They're the ones kicking you.
Yeah, sure. So, anyway, this is a dedicated special number regarding our first topic, Ocommio Cortez. Ocommio, Ocommio, have you lost your mind? I see the insanity in your eyes. I really should complete that. That's as far as I got.
I'll keep working on it. It's pretty funny so far.
It's gonna have to be a dedicated thing. Dedicated music video. Alrighty. It's gonna kick me any second now, so
Anyway, getting back to the gold, I don't know what the amount is, but if you buy gold under a certain amount, it isn't taxable if you like live in a state that has a capital gains tax on gold.
Yeah.
So if you want, if anybody
this...
listening wants to get into that, they should learn what if there even is a capital gains tax in your state for gold.
Well, that's the state's stand. This is specifically talking about the IRS, which would not be that's the federal. So there is still federal level capital gains tax, even if you. Some states, like I know Missouri doesn't have any kind of taxes on gold and silver, but that doesn't exempt you from the federal income taxes on them. You're supposed to claim them. Well, similarly, you're also supposed to claim like gambling winnings and things like that. But you know, the number of people who who report them, like anybody who doesn't actually file the paperwork in the casinos themselves, they don't claim gambling winnings on their IRS forms. If they do, and if they try to, their tax advisor's gonna be like, "Dude, you're out of your mind." It's like, "Dude, no, just don't tell me. Don't. I'm not listening."
Yeah.
All right, continuing. A tax neutral measure, the Monetary Metals Tax Neutrality Act states that, quote, no gain or loss shall be recognized on the sale of exchange of gold, silver, platinum, or palladium coins minted and issued by a secretary at any time, or refined gold or silver bullion coins, bars, rounds, or ingots, which are valued primarily based on their metal content and not their.
Oh wow! Okay, so that goes beyond just the minted ones. That goes into the 10-ounce bars and things along those lines. It's not gonna pass the House. It's not. Oh, but it would be so good if it did. It's like, oh, finally a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Under current IRS policy, a taxpayer who sells his precious metals may end up with a capital, quote, gain in terms of Federal Reserve notes and must pay federal income taxes on this, quote, gain. But the capital gain is not necessarily a real gain. It is often nominal gain that simply results from the inflation created by the Federal Reserve and the attendant decline in the Federal Reserve note dollars purchasing power. Under Rep. Mooney's bill, precious
It's
metal
like they already know that the legal tender is worthless.
Let me just say, I can't wait until we're all millionaires. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, unfortunately, it'll be the same way that. Well, then you'll need to be a trillionaire to buy anything. Them Zimbabwe dollars.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes.
Damn.
Under Rep. Mooney's bill, precious metals gains and losses would not be included in any calculations of a taxpayer's federal taxable income.
That would be nice. It's wishful thinking, though.
Yeah.
It's not in the best interest of either party in government. It's not in the best interest of anybody involved in politics for this to go through.
No.
Doesn't look like it.
Oh, Alex Mooney.
I thought that was Tide Pods.
Maryland.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys now, I ain't gonna sell any of my metals. Whatever I get, I'm going to use to purchase something else. Because once the Federal Reserve finally crashes, along with everything else, that's going to be one of the few things that's actually going to keep its value due to supply and demand.
Yep.
And then me, I'm currently collecting coins that I'm just coins and legal tender that I'll be just saving up for one day displaying in a museum.
If you get to hold them through the financial collapse of the U.S.
Yes.
Oh.
Basically, it'll be the currency exhibit of Ancapistan's museum.
Yeah.
Would you be in need of a $2 note for your display?
Ooh, as many $2 notes as you got.
Okay.
We want this thing to be a pretty big storage. A pretty big exhibit.
Next part of this article. Inflation is a regressive tax that especially harms wage earners, savers, and retirees on a fixed income, said J.P. Cortez, policy director at the Sound Money Defense League. We are encouraged to see legislation targeting the evils of the Federal Reserve System. The IRS does not let taxpayers deduct the staggering capital losses they suffer when holding Federal Reserve notes over time, said Stephen Gleason, president of Money Metals Exchange, a precious metals dealer recently named Best in the USA by a global industry ratings group. So it's grossly unfair for the IRS to assess a capital gains tax when citizens hold gold and silver to protect them from the Fed's policy of currency devaluation.
Yeah, how dare you try to prevent us from stealing from you?
Yeah, frickin' IRS.
Oh! Look who up the road!
Seems legit.
Who's gonna keep the criminals from attacking you?
Guns.
Absolute bull.
It is. The text of HR 1089 can be found on this link here. Clint Sagner is a director at Money Metals Exchange, a precious metals dealer, recently named blah, blah, blah. Read that part
That's
already.
a really big caption for that picture.
A graduate of Linfield College in Oregon, Signer puts his experience in business management along with his passion for personal liberty, limited government, and honest money into the development of Money Metals brand and reach. This includes writing extensively on the bullion markets and their intersection with policy and world affairs.
Yeah, how are you gonna limit government? You tell me, because
Can't.
the very beginnings of the United States were quote-unquote limited until the Whiskey Rebellion, and then things went downhill from there. George Washington set the precedent.
Yep. Like Ben Franklin said, A republic, if you can keep it. If you can keep it. That's, well, I think the, not the lesson, but I think the evidence shows that, nah, we didn't keep it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's... Oh, sorry, go ahead. I was going to go off on a whole long rant, so go ahead.
Yeah, if you want to add, Daniel?
Oh, nothing original.
Okay. So I was just saying, like, all these people who say, oh, well, anarcho-capitalists could never work, you know, their system would be invaded and taken over by some other thing. I'm like...
Yeah, it's never been tried.
Yeah, and I'm like,
So what
but
would
you
they
have a faith in having a minarchist society that wouldn't follow the path of every other minarchist society that has ever existed. It always balloons, it always goes out of control, it always becomes an empire, it becomes a full-blown democracy and collapses. It's a... Rinse, repeat. How many times has a republic been established that turns into absolute chaos and destruction and collapses under the size of its own government?
I just find it interesting that their worst scenario for anarcho-capitalism is that
it becomes a government.
Yeah, that's
the worst
funny.
thing that could happen.
Yeah, you're surrounded by people that hate government and can be armed like the military. Yeah, good luck with that.
So it becomes what we currently have again. I see that what we have is bad.
It's the equivalent of saying your doomsday scenario for not having rape laws is pedophiles might exist. Well, obviously.
They exist right now, and they exist in your government.
Yep.
You give them political power. You give them protection from political, or from actually serving or being brought to justice.
Heartless, what do you have to say?
Oh, he muted himself.
Oh, I was about to say, like, right now.
Something.
Yeah, they say, oh, you're going to have pedophiles running rampant. I was like, right now, Roman Polanski is free and not serving any kind of punishment because another government is protecting him.
Dude,
because he committed a crime here in the U.S. of raping a 13-year-old girl, went to some other country that doesn't extradite for that, and he's safe from justice. And that's what happens with government.
Under anarchism, pedophiles would be shot down.
Dude, yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the ones that who are violent, and like as in the ones who have not acted on their desires, they would have pretty damn clear incentive to go and get help.
Yep. Well, that's because the private sector would probably provide all manner of different psychology, not just for helping pedophiles, but for helping all other people. Like, I know there's a lot of transgender people that want there to be more research and money put into finding an actual solution for gender dysphoria, so people don't have to just go around hacking off body parts to deal with it.
And from all the research and all the statistics, hacking off body parts doesn't solve it, and that the suicide rates remain the same.
Like
will actually go up after
why it doesn't work out, and it leads to suicide anyway. I can't remember the statistic right off the top of my head.
Does body parts cost taxes too?
Yep. Sorry, what? Oh, body parts include taxes?
I'm sure I don't think there's any taxes on the black market.
I'll never
I just sold conclusions.
Systems that have repeatedly failed and even have
what happened? What?
Capitalism has already created robots.
The group chat.
Yeah, I just saw that. Why don't we end this with Florida Man? There's another Florida Man story that. No, there's always a Florida Man story, isn't there?
Oh well, might as well.
That's a dumb question. When is there ever not a Florida Man story?
All right.
How bad is it this time?
Okay, let's see if there's anything.
Probably is.
All right.
I have the stupidest theory.
What? that it has a portal to another dimension because Filthy Heretic already made that prediction.
Let's see here. First one is Florida man steals weapons, posts photos of them on Snapchat, deputies say.
Idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty damn stupid. All right. What's another
I
one?
see that.
Keep Florida weird.
Oh my god! Hey, okay, I got one. Can I say one?
Sure.
Florida man trying to steal roommate's prescription pills, tricked into taking laxatives.
Oops.
Oopsie.
Major oopsie.
Okay, I found one. Florida man believes God wants to heal and kill people, deputies say.
What?
That's strange.
I
That's
actually just saw this one a couple weeks. I think it was a week. So I'm not sure, but Florida man threatens to kill neighbor with kindness. The name of his machete.
What? What?
That's great.
That makes no sense whatsoever. Okay, this is not to insult anyone from Florida. This is just something that's just funny, okay?
I'm from Florida. I can say whatever I want.
Florida man used a wig as a disguise during robbery, deputies say. It worked against him.
What?
Ouch.
Florida man.
Oh boy.
The Ballad of Florida Man.
Oh god.
Oh.
This next one's crazy.
Oh no. Oh no.
Florida man kills in-laws after posing as their murdered daughter for a year, cops say.
What?
That's messed up.
It is.
Wait, what was it? I didn't hear that.
How is that even possible?
Florida man kills in-laws after posing as their murdered daughter for a year, cops say.
How the hell does that work?
I got a stupid one here.
Yeah, they have to be pretty damn stupid. If
Yeah.
they fall for that. Not saying they deserve to be murdered for it, but
That's
damn,
right.
son.
I got probably the stupidest one I've seen so far. Florida man wanted sesame seeds for his burger. Police say he allegedly used a butter knife for the break-in. That is the stupidest crap.
Was he stealing sesame seeds or?
Okay, it says he wanted sesame seeds for his burger. Police say he allegedly used a butter knife to break in to get the sesame seeds.
Okay, that's sort of funny. That's kind of funny.
Butter knife.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like I said, everyone.
Is Canadian Supernova singing about Florida man?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, what's that?
Dogecoin.
Doge.
Yeah, I want to buy some Dogecoin now.
And the Dogecoin is more valuable than the U.S. dollar. Well, because U.S. dollar just keeps getting printed and printed.
Ancap, you sound encrypted. It's not like the police scanner because they're encrypting their dispatch now.
All right. Florida man posts extremely stressful videos of his close encounters with alligators. Florida man loves to get up close and personal with alligators.
Okay, that's weird as crap.
It's not as crazy as the one.
Background noise.
What's up? I'm just chilling.
Ooh.
Ow.
You know, that's not as crazy as the one.
You said it's Jacob, and I just looked around at you there.
Like I was trying to say, that's not as crazy as the one where a Florida man actually raped an alligator. That poor animal.
Oh my god,
well,
yeah.
all things considered, alligators do look pretty cute when they're young, almost pet worthy.
Yeah, they are cute, but yikes.
There was a president that had a pet alligator.
I saw a news story on Fox about a guy and his pet alligator.
Interesting. Was it a tiny
Oh,
alligator? One that always stays?
No, I think it was
small?
I think it was a small. Yeah, I believe it was a small one because he was holding it in his arms. It was like a medium-sized one, I think.
That idiot is setting himself up for disaster.
Huh?
Yeah.
Possibly. Who knows?
Yeah, that's not even funny. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, there are
John,
people that have had more dangerous pets.
John Quincy Adams had a pet alligator, and Herbert Hoover had 2 pet alligators.
What?
Herbert Hoover.
Politician. Stupid. Ah.
That's Hoover, damn guy. All right. Yeah. I don't know.
I know how to solve the solution with the taxes.
Oh.
We all we all get a VPN, go on black market, and they can't take our taxes. Except for now on, everything you buy is kind of illegal. But once
I
again,
want to get a VPN, but I can't afford one.
If you have a Proton Mail account, there's a Proton VPN that comes with it. That's free.
Yeah, because I've been wanting to get a VPN. But every time I see the ads for one, I'm like, shit, I can't afford it. Because they say it's like $5, but then you actually look into it, then it ends up being like, oh, actually it's $70 if you want it for the whole year or something like that.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah. I'm not joking when I say Proton VPN is free. I mean, if you set up a Proton account, the VPN service comes free.
I didn't know
You're not going to get all the features, but here, link in the group chat to look it up.
I didn't know they had a VPN.
All right, so here's one.
Okay.
Florida man tried to rob 2 banks, but cops say when he got nothing, he came back.
he got nothing. What?
Well,
he robbed the bank. He got nothing and he came back. What does that mean?
He went to 2
came back
banks.
where?
Neither of them had anything. Are they just constantly getting robbed by Florida men, so they didn't have any money?
I heard this rumor. I don't know if it's true though, but if it is, it's pretty stupid. Supposedly, if you rob a bank and you hand them a note saying that you're robbing them, they have to give you the money even if you don't have a gun.
Yes, it's true.
You got cut off there. What was that?
I was talking about how I heard this rumor that if you rob a bank and you hand them a note saying that you're robbing the bank, give me the money, even if you don't have a gun, they have to give you the money. If you hand them a note. And I'm like,
that's a
how the hell
rule.
does that work? And if that's the case, why are there not more bank robbers then? To hell with guns if all you need is a note. I didn't know if it was a joke, a rumor, or if that was true. And
It's
if it is, how the hell does that work?
That is stupid.
I shall answer. I actually heard this literally probably a couple months ago back, where a literal blind man robbed 8 banks and escaped every single one of them. with a note.
Okay, that's okay. Now
the government police is incompetent. I don't know what it is.
I'm telling you the story actually. So how he did it was he goes into the bank, he has a note, he gives them the note, says, "Give me money, whatever, etc., etc." They give him the money, and what he does is he follows the old people out of the bank, so he knows where he's going, and then he just goes aboard on a plane and leaves and goes to another bank. That's when I found out about that rule, and apparently it's a rule because they don't want anyone getting shot or something if they do have a gun or so.
Okay, that's.
But even if you don't have a gun, they still have to give you the money. It's like, what the hell?
I know, it's so stupid. Like, here, just have the money, man.
Hey, all right, that's just all right. If your security is that low that you get robbed by a blind man just because they have a note, I don't feel sorry for you. No.
Yeah.
You need to crack down on this. I mean, higher security if you can. I mean, yikes.
What's next? Is a goldfish going to get through the CIA?
Unless the blind person is tough, then yeah, get your shit together.
Imagine if like a goldfish infiltrated the entirety of the CIA and somehow killed them all.
Yeah, I don't know. You could be dealing with the blind swordsman, and then Kate. Doesn't matter if they're blind; they can see everything.
And
like
there are
the Book of Eli and
things, all things considered. It all depends on how good their senses are.
There's so many fictional blind characters that can see anyway. Kind of a trope.
Yeah, like Daredevil. He's blind, but not really.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
So apparently Tim Pool said that the reason we have corporatism is due to laissez-faire economics.
Oh my god.
What the hell?
Right after he said he didn't understand economics. Wow.
Okay. So basically, he said the same thing twice in a row in different ways.
Yeah. How do they think? I mean, how do they think corporations get that legal protection in the first place? It is a. I mean, they have to run it by the state for crying out loud.
Well, you see, they sit in their towers and act all corporation-y and continue to do corporation-y things.
I mean, and part of the reason why corporations are able to get away with the stuff they do is because of the legal favor they get from the government.
And if you look at the definition of monopoly, when it was originally coined, monopolies were created by the state. They were created by government, and that's still the case. They never stopped being created by the government.
Yeah, that's basically
what they assumed the definition meant.
Yeah, that's basically what charter is. Of a favor by government to do whatever it is they set out to do. That's how the East India Trading Company was formed by the charter.
Yeah, it's established by the king or the monarchy or the ruling class, or whatever. It's the same system. You can't have a monopoly without some kind of restriction barring competitors in that same field. And in a free or laissez-faire market, there's going to be competition. As soon as you're like, hey, I've got a way to make money in this industry, other people are going to follow on your coattails. They're going to join that industry and start doing exactly what you do.
All right, yeah. And even if you are the only one in existence at that moment in a free market, that's not gonna last long, especially if you screw up, because somebody's going to capitalize on that.
Yeah, the iPhone was the first to market. How long did it take for competitors to join them? First smartphone on the market, and then everybody had a smartphone the next year. Everybody.
Exactly.
And now Android has more. There's more Android phones than there are iPhones.
Yeah, they're cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah, Linux phones are on the rise, as far as I know.
So.
Did you say Linux phones?
Yeah,
headphones.
Yeah, Android is Linux based.
Okay.
Wait, Android's not Linux based.
That's not what I meant. I was more. I was more thinking about pure Linux desktop type.
Oh, Linux.
Wait, which
thought you
Linux
also
phones are
did.
there? You gotta send me a link because I want to replace my phone because I hate Google.
You hate Google?
Yeah, who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought?
Well, Google subsidized anyway.
Wait, did you say Android was not based on Linux?
No, it's not. It's Google.
No, but it's
the operating
the operating system is Linux.
I thought Google runs everything now.
No, it's not.
No, okay. So let me clarify this. Linux is open source, but you can have specific versions which you charge money for. Which Android is one of those specific versions of Linux that is customized by Google so that they can charge for it. Same way that Red Hat has a enterprise edition of Linux. They have their own specific version that you would pay for. That's.
I don't understand still.
Timothy, you're like a freaking angel from heaven.
My
You're
Monster
like,
XD has stopped working.
It's you can get the free version, but the free versions are bare bones. If you want the highly developed versions, you have to pay for
free
those.
plus tax.
Yeah, it's the same idea. Like, I guess maybe not the same idea, but have you ever played a free-to-play game?
Yep.
And then all the stuff that you really want is stuff they're going to charge you for? That's essentially how it works with Linux.
League of Legends.
Yeah, that you can get the basics for free, but all the cool stuff you have to pay for somebody because somebody else developed all the cool stuff.
Yeah, here's the website. Here's the website in the group chat.
Yeah.
If you want to pull it up, Marianne.
Okay. Alright, copy. Paste and go. I'll put on screen share in a minute.
Yeah, this is one of their competitors.
I want some McDonald's.
And Java is another one of those open source platforms that has moved to that model where, yeah, you can get the basic version for free, but if you want the latest and greatest, you've got to pay.
So these are like laptops.
Yeah, that's one of the things they sell. They also have phones.
Oh, okay.
I don't have any of their products yet. I'm going to save up for those.
Alrighty. Laptops do look nice, but the one I have, it works pretty good too. I recently got this fixed.
Yeah, the main reason I'm interested in purchasing from them is so I'll have more privacy.
Even
Alright.
then, who knows if it's really guaranteed.
Well, it is pushing on 10 o'clock here, and I was only planning on joining for about an hour, but I'm going to go ahead and take off if you guys are going to continue. But it was nice meeting all of you.
Yeah,
You
it was
too.
good for you to join us.
Bye, Timothy. Bye,
Hopefully I
Timothy.
didn't talk too much. I tend to dominate conversations. I'm sorry, because I know I'm seeing comments in chat. I'm like, oh, I'm doing it again.
You're fine.
And bye, everybody.
Bye.
Alright, bye.
What else can we talk about?
Oh, we already went over the Florida man stuff. I don't feel like going over any more.
Let's see.
Okay, apparently, hold on, I got one. So
I have
Ron
something
Paul,
we can talk about.
Let Soba go first.
No leashes, no masters.
Alright, Soy Boy.
Okay, Rand Paul will vote against Trump's pick for Attorney General.
Why didn't he vote against Mike Pompeo? Rand Paul he has no fucking principles at all. He's really, he shouldn't even call himself a libertarian.
Wait, who shouldn't call himself a libertarian?
Rand Paul.
Wait, I thought. No.
No, he has no fucking principles. I mean, he talks the talk, but
He doesn't walk the walk.
He does not always walk the walk. Sometimes he's cool, and sometimes.
Well, at the end of the day, he's still a part of the system. That's what it all comes down to.
Yeah.
That's the reason why, even though a lot of people always tell me I should, I would likely never run for president because I don't want to be a part of the system, even if it meant trying to sabotage the system from the inside out.
Yeah, can't do
Exactly.
Because if I was a president, that's exactly what I do. I'd go out of my way to sabotage the government in any way I could.
That's
war with Congress.
Less taxes, more meme.
Yes, more memes. The more
Yes.
mayonnaise.
Realistically, even if you were able to get president, which is very doubtful, now what? You're not going to be able to do anything. Congress is going to fight you on every level.
True.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess executive orders, but that's kind of contrary to your beliefs. I mean, the whole thing is
yeah, it's all just a joke. It's one of the many reasons why I've always been one of those people that have said that the government has gotten to the point where, at this point, a full-fledged insurrection is absolutely necessary. At this point, they're too powerful, and at this point, we've reached the point in the pattern of minarchism that we've reached the stage we even talked about where we have nothing to do but our chains. I'm not saying that to drain the swamp, but we most certainly could. We just choose not to for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because I guess we want to be the peaceful good guys or whatever, even though I would look at it as self-defense in that instance, and we would totally be in the right.
Well, I think we...
terrorists.
Yeah.
We're fine. Go down to Washington, find all these political parasites and put them on trial and bring the ones who are guilty to the rope.
Yeah, I think the stream has run its course. So.
All right. So time for closing. Thank yous. Thank you to everyone who appeared in the call. Daniel Westfall and Kapataku, Koi Monster, Crow, Magnus, Zachary, Shade, and Soy Boy, Malum. Yeah, I think that's everyone. Thank you to all in the live chat. Wow, a bunch of people in the live chat.
How many people are watching the stream?
7.
Man, I got salt on my burrito.
I'm hungry.
Maybe next time, Oshi, maybe you could say a little more about yourself. Maybe next Monday night or Thursday day stream, if you're able to make it on.
The founder of Dogecoin.
All right. Thank you all for attending for such a great stream. Good night.
Good night.